Hi, my name is Joseph Knopfs with Visions Meet, and I'm here today with Mike Smith, who owns and operates Smith Funeral Home in Port Huron, Michigan. And I thought they had a very rich history for this city, and he's here to tell you about this today.
Let me tell you a little bit about Smith Family Funeral Home and kind of where we began, where we started from, and sort of go through history a little bit and where we are today. My great-grandfather, Arthur E. Smith, really started the funeral home back in 1928, and he needed a location and ended up purchasing the South End location on 7th Street, 7th and Union, from a family, and really moved the funeral home right there, and it was a family home, and he made it into a funeral home because that was the time when people were really moving out of having them on storefronts and just buying caskets and funerals and homes. They wanted to go to a home, another location to have the funeral. Back in those days, they were, as I said, having funerals right in the home. So my great-grandfather, Arthur E. Smith, founded the funeral home really in 1928. And then from that, years later, my grandfather, Arthur B. Smith, took over and ran the funeral home. And my dad also, Arthur C. Smith, he was third in line, and then I'm the fourth in line with the funeral home. At one point in our history, we did sell both the funeral homes to a corporation in 1981, to Service Corp International. In 1997, both my dad and I purchased the funeral homes back from that corporation, and they remain in our family now to this day. So that's kind of a brief history on how where the funeral home was and where it is today.
And when you say on 7th Street, what city would that be?
7th Street. On 7th and Union Street in Port Huron was the original location of the funeral home, Port Huron, Michigan. It's the building still there. It's still used as a funeral home. There's an apartment there that someone lives in. And yeah, we still use that building at 7th and Union in Port Huron, Michigan as a funeral home.
And I understand now that we're here. There's a second location.
Yep, our second location is our North End location, as we call it, and also in Port Huron, Michigan. And it's just 2 miles away from the South End location, but this one's at 1525 Hancock Street, and that's the funeral home we're in today. And we operate this as a business office, or where we do most of our business at this end. This funeral home was built as a funeral home in 1976 and has been continuously operated since that time as a funeral home.
I've stated to some friends of mine and also our person doing the vlog today that there's a real uniqueness about Smith Family Funeral Home, and I got some reasons why, but could you tell why it's it's just very warm and soothing, even though there's a death in the family?
Yeah, well, I think our funeral home is unique and stands out because we are smaller in our operation. We handle several families in the Port Huron area and the surrounding areas, but we tend to be a little more nimble because we are a smaller operation, and so we have real personal contact with each of our families. It's not uncommon to see myself or even my dad Art, who's 77 years old, meeting with families or at the home. I was just at a home the other night to take somebody that had passed away at home. So that's not uncommon to see us doing all of the everyday work here at the funeral home. And so that makes it a real personal experience to families and to us, and it's something we really enjoy doing.